I'd like to welcome everyone to this hybrid meeting of the Planning Committee. This planning meeting is being broadcast live over the internet and will be available to view online now and in the future. We welcome the use of the Welsh language at meetings. I have had no request for people to speak Welsh today, so this meeting will be conducted in English only. Committee members participating remotely, can you please refrain from using the chat function and instead use the raised hand icon to indicate when you want to speak. And please remember to keep your microphone muted when you are not talking. Right, we'll move on to the agenda. Agenda item 1, attendance and apologies. Niall, do we have any apologies?
Okay, morning Chair. We have apologies from Councillor Christou.
Thank you. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Niall, could you please ask members in alphabetical order to state whether they have any interest to declare?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so we'll start with Councillor Ashley.
Planning application 4, I believe it's in Cwmbran. Cwmbran Community Council. Have I got it right there? I think I have.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Best.
No interest to declare.
Okay. Councillor Evans.
None that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Councillor Gordon.
No, nothing from me.
Councillor Haller.
Nothing to declare.
Councillor Gaynor-James.
No, nothing from me.
Councillor John James.
Nothing from me.
Councillor Jones.
None that I'm aware of, Niall.
Okay. Chair.
Nothing to declare, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Slade.
No, nothing to declare, thank you.
Thank you.
And Councillor Williams.
Oh, sorry.
Nothing to declare.
Okay.
Fine. Is that concluded now?
That is concluded, Chair.
Thank you. Item 3, minutes of the Planning Committee from the 10th of November 2022. Members, could you possibly state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? If not, I will take them as approved. And I can't see any hands up, so we'll take them as approved. Thank you. Agenda item 4, planning application 22/P/0643 FUL, proposed change of use of property from use class C3 dwelling house to C2 residential institution, conversion and extension of existing garage and associated works. Right, can I ask Simon Pritchard, planner, to present the report, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. I'll just get my presentation up now. Can everyone see that?
I can see it.
Yeah, okay. So 22/P/0643 FUL is for the proposed change of use of the property, the bungalow, and so if I go through it slowly, proposed change of use of property from use class C3 to C2, and the conversion and extension of the existing garage and associated works at Greenhill Bungalow, Greenhill Road, Woodside, Cwmbran. So the existing bungalow and existing garage sit towards the end of Greenhill Road, towards the RAF site, the RAF Club, sorry. So these are the existing elevations of the bungalow and the garage. So you can see that the garage is set down from the existing bungalow. You have an existing parking area to the side of the house, which can fit 2 cars currently. So the proposed works intend on changing the garage into a one-bedroomed sort of annex accommodation, and changing the existing bungalow into a 3-bedroomed sort of children's home as well. So in total, there'll be 4 bedrooms. 2 of the bedrooms in the bungalow are for children, and 1 is for a member of staff. And then you have a more sort of independent unit in the garage or converted garage. And then you have a proposed parking space to the southern side of the garage, shown on the plan there. We received this plan on the 1st of December, showing retaining wall and structure. So we reconsulted Highways, and they're satisfied with the retaining wall and grading of the new parking space. So in total, we have the existing 2 parking spaces to the side of the bungalow, and they're existing, so they're parking in tandem. And then you have the proposed new parking space created to the southern side of the bungalow. So as part of the conversion, there's also a small extension to the garage structure, extending the footprint by 1.8 metres. And this will also add a new 2 new roof structures as well as part of the conversion. So you can see it's still set down from the existing roof and the existing bungalow. These are just a couple of photos, so an aerial view of the property. So this is the bungalow looking from the south, looking north. You've got the garage, and you can see the bungalow sit above the garage there. And then looking south, you can see neighbouring properties set up at a elevated level. You can see the bungalow, and then the road leading to the garage and the bungalow there. Another photo again showing the garage set down from the existing bungalow, and with the pitched roof and the flat roof on the extension, and then showing parking a car park in front of the garage, although this it doesn't meet the requirements of the parking space. The existing parking spaces up to the side of the garage, and again showing the garage set down from the bungalow. And that's the end of my presentation. So stop sharing.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Simon. Are there any questions? No questions from members? I think Councillor Williams, David Williams.
Thank you, Chair. It was interesting to see the comments and observations from other departments, but given that this was children, I was wondering if there had been any opportunity for comment from either social care or education.
Right.
If I come back in.
Who would like to answer that? Simon?
If I come back in, Chair, yeah. So we consulted the housing team, and they're in support of the application. We didn't consult social services on this application.
Right, thank you. Councillor Ashley?
I want to get a mic there. Yeah, we've got similar setup in one part of my ward that I've just discovered about. The questions that I have here are similar. I appreciate the planning questions are about occupancy, car parking. What I hadn't appreciated until some questions were raised was that this is a children's home in the middle of a residency, and it's actually somebody's workplace. So the sort of questions I would raise, I'm tell me if we're allowed to even consider it at planning committee, was this being a place of work in the middle of a residency, and I know some of these questions have been raised, is obviously if it's a children's home, it's staffed, is it material to ask the question? I don't know, and whether planners have actually thought about this, because it's causing problems where we've got a similar setup in a resident place. The number of staff that are employed, their management over a weekend, what that causes for the other residents of the place if it's a tight setup. It's not here. I know this site quite well because it's obviously on the cycle track, and it's down to the RAFA, and there's quite a lot of road here. But those sort of questions are worth asking, because not just about children, which I think the site seems reasonable, but it's in terms of a workplace in the middle of a residency where they probably didn't have one before. I know there's industrial site down below, and you've got industrial premises there. It's worth asking these questions, because those sort of things are what seems to cause friction. And if we can ask that at this stage, is there adequate car parking? Things like, are there arrangements in place for the staff? And does that cause friction? Will that cause friction with the neighbour? Is the sort of questions that have been raised.
Yes.
I just,
okay, Stuart. I
yeah,
think,
sorry. Just let me finish, Chair. You know, I just wonder what the answers are. Okay.
Right, you'll have your answer now, Stuart. Simon or Richard Lewis? Like to ask, I don't know which. Simon?
Come in. Yeah, I'm happy to
okay,
come in.
thank you, Simon.
So we've had clarification from the agent regarding staffing. So staffing tends to be 1-to-1 for the 2 children in the bungalow, and initially 1-to-1 with the occupant in the more annex accommodation, the garage structure, with the intention of reducing the staff member in the annex accommodation, so it's more sort of an independent unit there. So the parking requirements would be 4 parking spaces. On this application, there is a deficit of 1 parking space, but given the ability to park on the road with no parking restrictions there, there's considered sufficient parking there, and the Highways Department have suggested that there's parking available there. And also in the area, you've got the 2 bus routes, number 1 and 23, I think, off the top of my head, which provide good transport links and encourage more sustainable modes of transport. And then you've also got the school in walking distance as well. So on balance, we consider there's sufficient parking for staff members on site and on the road adjacent to the bungalow. Does that answer your question, Councillor?
When the staff, the other question that came up with the premises, when the staff are obviously taking breaks and that sort of thing, is there a provision for the staff on this, what in effect would be a small complex, to take breaks outside of the that, or they're going to have to do it on premises? I mean, will they have a staff room there or not? I presume they just have to be where they are. I mean, you know, this is just some questions that were raised, and the management of the premises, it will be from outside with it.
Yes, we don't have the detail in terms of that, but there is intends to be a bedroom for a staff member. So I presume that area is only for staff members. But like you said, we don't have the detail on staff in terms of their breaks and that side of it at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's just all I need to know. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Stuart. Councillor Slade.
Thank you, Chair. In the assessment and conclusion paragraph of the report on page 22, that's of the reports pack, it states that the application site is not designated for any particular purpose. I'm afraid that's simply not true. The site sits firmly within Strategic Action Area 2, Canalside, which is described on page 85 of the LDP. This area has also been the subject of a draft Canalside master plan produced by external consultants. The LDP clearly states that the Council's vision for Canalside is the development of a vibrant and distinctive new town centre quarter for Cwmbran. It goes on to say the mixed-use development scheme will be based on high-quality development, which incorporates waterside living, leisure activities, commercial development, cultural uses, and biodiversity enhancements. Furthermore, the detailed assessment of the development potential of Canalside lists a number of elements that the Council would wish to see addressed. The provision of a residential home for vulnerable adults is simply not one of those elements. Now, I also have serious concerns about the application site's proximity to Cwmbran Town Centre. The town centre's got a lot of attractions for young people, fast food outlets, cinema and bowling. But it has also got an extremely high crime rate. The Crime Rate UK website provides that Cwmbran Central is the third most dangerous area within the Gwent area. Gwent Police also report that there were 66 crimes reported in this location in October alone. Now, of those 66, 40 were for a combination of antisocial behaviour, public disorder, and more worryingly, 23 reports of violent and sexual offences. This is an environment where vulnerable young children should not be accommodated. And frankly, I am rather amazed that the developer has failed to take this into consideration. Now, I do have further comments about the highways, but at the moment I'd rather bring those in later. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
I'm happy
Richard
to come in.
Lewis wants to come in.
I'm happy to. Just in terms of dealing with the strategic action area, that is in the LDP, the existing LDP. It's a proposal that nothing really has happened with at the moment. If somebody was looking at that whole area comprehensively, then you can imagine that would be a major project to embark on. In the meantime, with properties changing uses and things happening, we wouldn't be stopping all of that because of that action area. They would be accommodated somewhere down the line if it actually proceeded. But the fact is, it's not proceeding at this moment in time, and therefore there's no reason why this can't go ahead, even with that other designation. So in terms of this application, it's not that relevant. And the second issue is the proximity to Cwmbran. I think our feeling is that that's actually a good thing. It's a sustainable location. From a planning point of view, it would be very difficult to refuse something like this on the basis that it could encourage people to go into crime. I would say that wouldn't be a sustainable reason for refusal. And the other thing I would say is that because you've got Melin and our own council housing department involved in this, they feel that this premises is suitable for the proposed use. And on that basis, I don't see any planning reasons why the proximity of Cwmbran should deter us from making a positive determination of the application. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Richard.
In terms of the crime, my concern isn't that the occupants of the premises will be sort of perpetrators of crime. I'm more concerned that they're not victims of crime, if I'm honest. And as far as the LDP issue, I think we're entering territory here where we can cherry pick what's relevant in the LDP and what isn't. I believe that putting a children's residential home in the middle of this strategic action area will deter potential developers, frankly, and just because the fact that nobody's taken up or shown any interest in the matter, I really don't see that here or there. I mean, we've been going through difficult times over the last few years, and it's hardly surprising that developers are sort of holding back. Thank you. I'll bring my highways issues in later. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Richard, do you want to come back in on that?
Only to say that because this this doesn't prejudice, this proposal, if approved, wouldn't prejudice the action area. If anybody wanted to pursue that in the future, that would be fine. But we couldn't be refusing applications on the basis that it may occur in the future. Otherwise, nothing would happen within that area for many, many years. So that just wouldn't be appropriate from a planning point of view. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Richard. Do you want to ask your questions now about highways, Councillor Slade?
Yes, please. I'd be interested to see if a swept path analysis of Green Hill Road has been undertaken, because modern design standards would provide that an access to an industrial location or industrial site, the road width should be a minimum of 7.3 metres, and the road at this location is 6 metres. Commercial vehicles need to negotiate a bend. The commercial vehicle needs room, and this site is very close to a bend. Perhaps the reason there's no on-street parking there now is simply because it would cause an obstruction. I believe there's insufficient width to provide for on-street parking, plus commercial vehicles coming back and forth the site.
Thank you. Simon, do you want to answer these questions? You're muted, Simon.
Sorry. Yes, there's no requirement for this application to submit a swept path analysis. It's existing residential use. There's no road markings on the road that would prevent vehicles from parking on the road currently. So the parking requirement there is that the visitors to the property as an existing residential use is that they could park on the road in that location at the moment.
Right, thank you.
Sorry, Chair, do you mind if I just add to that obviously we have been liaising fully with the highways officer on this as well. So any issues like that would have come up by the highways officer. She was very happy with the proposal.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, Councillor Slade.
Yeah, I just would note that it has been said that the parking provision is less than ideal and less than the parking standards. But thank you, yes.
Right, thank you. Councillor Stephen Evans.
Thank you, Chair. Just following on from that, we're looking in the planning application for all the parking, but we've not put in anything for the safe route to school. If these are young people, which we've already said, they're going to perhaps be walking to the local school or catching the local bus. We're seeing there's issues with the parking and the vehicles on access on that road. Surely that should be a serious concern anyway. That's the first part of my question. The second part is, under the climate agenda, what applications are being used for this property to make it environmentally friendly and bring it onto the climate emergency parts of it? Because we seem to be overlooking all this when we're making these applications. And I couldn't see any of that in the report to support any of this. So why have a climate emergency? Why do any of this if we're not putting anything into our applications?
Right. Simon, would you like to answer Councillor Evans's question?
Yeah, thanks for that, Councillor.
Thank you.
So in terms of the safe walking route, so there is a footpath that stops just before the start of the garage and the bungalow. So I think on one of my photos you can see the footpath which ends just before the garage structure. So there's a footpath that then the occupants of the bungalow would use then to walk to the bus stop and on the locations to other sustainable modes of transport. So you've got the footpath there, and you've got the cycle path, and then the bus stop to number 1 there. There's a footpath then that leads to that bus stop. In terms of the second part of your question, So we are looking at trying to promote sustainable modes of transport, and in this application, it's a sustainable location in our opinion with good public transport links. So they're the types of transport we're trying to promote.
Thank you, Simon. Okay, Steve.
Yeah, I have another question asked about the enhancements for environmental projects on buildings, an application.
Okay.
Yeah. Chair, can I just come in quickly there?
Yes.
Just we obviously, when we look at things like that, we've got to look at it proportionally, and this is quite a minor proposal. We are requesting biodiversity enhancements through this, and you'll notice there's a condition on there with regard to that. But and we'll also look at active travel, closeness to facilities and whatnot. But in terms of what I think maybe Councillor Evans is asking about is possibly, you know, solar roofs and windmills, things like that. Obviously, proportionally, it would be very difficult for us to insist on that for a development of this sort of nature. But biodiversity-wise, yes, we are getting an enhancement regarding that.
Can I come back on that, Chair? You know, with
Yes.
a climate emergency, we've only got one chance. You know, every minor little thing is vitally important to make it a bigger picture. We should be imploring these people to take these things on board. You know, if we don't, we ain't going to have a planet. It's as simple as that.
Right, thank you, Steve. No, do you want to come back in, Richard?
Only to say, entirely agree with the sentiment, and where we can promote that, we certainly will. There are policies in the LDP where we would be certainly promoting it, but proportionally, it would be very difficult to do that on this scale of development.
Thank you. The next one I got on my list is Councillor David Williams.
Thank you, Chair, and following on the point that Richard made, you know, pleased to see the reference to bats and bat boxes included in the site development around enhancement of biodiversity, which I think is very positive to note. I was just a point of query, really. It mentions that the premises will be operated by Mellin Homes. So just checking, is that sort of that Mellin will be both landlord and provider, or what's the kind of relationship? I didn't really get much sense of that from the application.
Right, thank you. Simon? You've muted
sorry,
again.
Yeah, sorry. My understanding is that Mellin will be promoting and staffing the facility. I think it's with close links with the social services, from my understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stuart Ashley, do you want to come in again? Councillor Ashley?
I do. Interestingly enough, I think you've all missed a point about this location. It's actually, I can't remember the basin it's sat on. It's actually I'll call it Greenhill Basin, shall I? It's on the canal. I had to state the bleeding obvious on that. There's a lock system there. There's two locks there. They're what we call Peterson's lock, because it's on their land. The next lock down, so the former Bottom Bridge lock. So it's a nice location, actually. If we do start developing it, and as Alan said, it would be what we're now calling canal side, although there's another canal side up there. I'm sorry, I'm the canal nut round here. As far as safe routes to school was concerned, it is on the active travel route. It's the Sustrans route. You actually didn't put that in. I'm sure it's in this report. And as for going to town, it's only a 5-minute, 10-minute walk down there. So it's actually a lovely location. But a complete Cwmbran bus service is down the bottom. And so from that point of view, my only hesitation, I've had communications from the Cwmbran Drive. We're looking at putting better enhancement on Cwmbran Drive at the moment. So any young people that are under a certain age would probably need supervising to get across Green Forge Way, which is not a nice location. Even I need to run across both bits of that. So a good active travel route, other than supervising people to get across, we primary or secondary on it. Obviously, The secondary school is up the other way, but you've got bus routes and everything, but some level of supervision if they're if they're primary school age. It's a good location. And as far as what David was saying about things like bats and the rest of it, there's a lot of nature around there. And we've been down there. We're looking at bats, orchids and all the rest of it. And that particular bungalow sits very proud onto that location. I'm surprised a lot of this wasn't in the report because it's there. There's a lot of positives for this location. Probably from a young person's point of view, it would be a good location. There is a negative and a positive to this location.
Right, thank you, Stuart.
Did anybody want to comment on that, by the way?
Yeah, so I'll come in there, Chair, if I may. So thanks for your question, Councillor Ashley. So, like you said, staffing levels are 1-to-1 for the two in the bungalow. So although we haven't got details on how the staffing arrangements would work, given staffing is 1-to-1, I presume they'll have supervision, and if they were to be going out of the bungalow, I presume that again they'll be supervised by the 1-to-1 member of staff. And like you said, as part of the application there is biodiversity enhancements, and we consulted ecology on that, on the enhancements, and they were considered suitable. But like you said, it's in a good location for active travel, and there are bats in the area, and hence the enhancements on this development.
I would also, Chair, I'd also like to say it's not the only residential home that's in this type of location. In Pont Newydd, we have one existing one that's been up there for years.
Yes, there are quite a few throughout Torval. Yes. Actually, there's one in my ward too.
We've got one up by 5 blocks as well. So it's a lovely, the canal does add to that, and I will add that I think it's a really nice location for it. I mean, with a 1-to-1, I can see a lot of merit to this.
Right, thank you, Stuart. Councillor Gaynor-James, you're next on my list.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think it's a lovely location to have this, and it's well needed in the community, and I'd like to recommend that we go for it.
Right.
I'll second that, Chair.
Right, it's been seconded. Right, before we vote, I'll bring Councillor David Williams in again. He's got his hand up.
Not really much to add, Chair. It's simply I was going to make the point that in previous discussions elsewhere, we've spoken of the need to ensure that local children have the opportunity to be housed locally, and so I really would echo many of the points that Councillor James has made.
Thank you. Right. Geraint, could you please ask members in alphabetical order to state whether they are for, against, or are abstaining? Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Chair. If I can start with Councillor Ashley, please.
For.
Councillor Best.
For.
Councillor Evans.
For.
Councillor Gordon.
For.
Councillor Haller.
For.
Councillor Gaynor-James.
For.
Councillor John James.
For.
Councillor Jones.
For.
Councillor Parish.
For.
Councillor Slade.
Against.
And Councillor Williams.
For.
That's 10 for and 1 against, Chair.
1 against. Right, thank you. This planning application has been approved. Right, thank you everyone for your attendance and contributions. And I'd like to wish everyone a very happy Christmas and a peaceful New Year. And I'll close the meeting.
Bye.